10:30, again at 11:30. When you hear me say, call in and you be number 10, you're going to be on the list for the great Martha's Vineyard Wine Festival Getaway Weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun on the 8th and 9th. Thanks to Lionel and Sousa and to Rick Leeson of the Mass Motorcycle Association for just to remind everybody on May 2nd of the town meeting. You know, I think it's a very important issue, not only to the people in the town board, but I think to the motorcycle community in and of itself, and to everyone else. Good morning. I'm Ed Lambert, 508-775-9985. Our toll-free phone number is 1-888-WXTK-95. 1. And, of course, my email address, ed@95wxtk.com. Upcoming, just as a reminder, this coming Monday, I'm going to be doing the show live from Wendy's on Route 132 at the Airport Rotary in Hyannis from 7 to 10. Come on by, shoot the breeze, have a cup of coffee. I'll be there. Jim and Dave are going to be here in the studio with the news and the anchoring the news, and, of course, Jim producing. So that's Monday from 7 to 10. I'll be at Wendy's on Route 132 in Hyannis. Brand new, the big opening of the renovated Wendy's. It really looks good. We were talking about motorcycles and noise. We're also talking about Ben Affleck and the situation with the censorship that PBS put in place, not telling people about in the show Finding Your Roots, not broadcasting the fact that Affleck found out he had ancestors who were slave owners. But let's go to Bourne. Good morning, Mike. Thanks for holding. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing, Ed?
Good.
You know, I owned a beautiful home in Yarmouthport. It's a beautiful place. But the attitude that's in Yarmouthport was the reason that we moved out. You talk about blue hairs and crusty people. I mean, they're totalitarians. They think they own the world. I mean, it was a shock to me to move from the city and then to settle down here and then live in a beautiful place and looking at it from that point of view, and then to get out and get to talk to people. They would actually ask me, well, what side of the road do you live on? And if you lived on the left-hand side coming in, you were better.
All right, stop right there. Let me ask you a question, all right? Are you telling me that you now live in Bourne because you couldn't stand the people that lived in Yarmouthport?
Let me say I couldn't stand the attitude. The attitude of I crap ice cream. It just doesn't work for me. And it doesn't work that people with motorcycles that are doing a great thing, they're driving through the town. I mean, I saw it all summer long, and the bike riders. I mean, I just enjoyed it. It just is a part of a culture. Yeah. It's called the American way, you know, the First Amendment. And just that attitude, like I remember the real estate broker saying to us, you have arrived. I go, well, what do you mean, I arrived to what? So there is an attitude there, and
isn't that funny? Because I don't think it's all over the town. I mean, I really don't believe that, Mike. I
don't either.
I believe that most people think this is sort of a wacko thing that to ban motorcycles in the town of Yarmouth or to ban them in parades or whatever it might be is going way off the deep end. However, you know, you got to make sure, you know, some people are going to vote for it. There's no question about it.
Well, it's just totally wrong. I mean, you know, the 4th of July is all about the American dream. And when you look at that, you see the kids marching, you see people on motorcycles, you see goofiness, you see military proudness. You know, what's with the town? I mean, do you think that people are going to move back because
well, you're not. You're not. That's for damn sure.
They don't like me. You know, you got the historical society. I mean, they drove me up a wall. I put up an American flag, a pole up, and the lady says to me, "It's made of aluminum." And I said, well, I'm a veteran. I said, you're going to tell me that it's aluminum pole, so therefore I got to take the pole flag down? I mean, they're whacked. And this is just
okay.
another
right.
part
Great.
of their wackiness. And, you know...
All right, so they're... Excuse me. They're glad that you're in Bourne, and you're glad, and you're glad that they're staying in Yarmouthport, and never the twain shall meet. Yeah.
And just keep drinking whatever you're drinking, because I don't drink what they drink. Thank God.
Thanks for the call, Mike. 508-775-9985. Our toll-free phone number is 1-888-WXTK-951. Jeez, Talk about the people in Yarmouthport. Old Mike and Bourne is not happy with you guys, I guess, or your attitudes. Let's go to West Barnstable. Hey, Bill, how you doing this morning?
I'm good. This strikes me like the people who, they buy a house right next to Logan.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later start complaining about the airplanes as if Logan sprung up the year after they bought the house.
Yeah, I know. I think it's, for the people or for the person or whomever, the minority of people that have put this out, Bill, I don't think it's that way. I think it's they just have a burr under their saddle about guys or men or women on motorcycle, especially if they're making noise. They don't like that. They want to sit out in their backyard with their rum coke and not have to with a lime and not worry about anything.
I got a solution.
Well,
turn down your hearing aid for 20 minutes.
That wasn't very nice at all, Bill.
But that's who's bitching. Pardon the French.
I don't know. I mean, I hear you, and it doesn't last long either.
They hear too. They gotta turn them down.
All right, thanks, Bill. By the way, hey, look, if they have a parade going through town, what? I mean, my whole big the thing with this roots and the censorship and being shameful and awful, all of it is I feel the same way about this. For heaven's sakes, if someone's going through town, or you got a guy going through town and he's got all the noise in the world, the cops have every right to stop him, pull him over, and ticket him, or whatever it might be. But to take it to the nth degree and say we don't want any motorcycles in town, we have no parades, it's just silly, I think. I mean, get over yourself, almost, type of feeling. I feel the same way with Ben Affleck. Ben, for God's sakes, everybody's got something in their ancestry that maybe, but to feel shameful and awful, and I can't stand it. I don't want you to tell anybody about it, PBS. I don't want this ever to be known. Come on, give me a break. 508-775-9985. Our toll-free phone number is 1-888-WXTK-951. And talking about Ben Affleck, and one of our listeners, Paul, said, Ed, how far do we go back before we don't want to acknowledge some ancestor? Are we going to go back to the Roman days? Give me a break. If any of my ancestors were criminals or bastards, who cares? It isn't me. And if the people are that shallow that they would shun me for any of that information, then they're not worthy of my friendship or association to begin with. Jim says, Ed, it's well known that PBS is a bastion of liberalism. Regardless of one's political position, our taxes support this group, and it is not fair. James, that's a whole separate subject matter relative to PBS and taxes and funding and what our money goes to. I've always been one of those guys that said there's so much money in, and some of the programs that are produced by PBS are terrific programs. But there is so much money, I mean, in Sesame Street or in all of the some of the great shows they have out there that PBS, I got to tell you, I don't think they need the funding that they get. They got foundation money, tax money. I think they could make a lot of money without us supporting them. I really do. And I applaud an awful lot of the shows on public broadcasting, PBS. 508-775-9985. Our toll-free phone number is 1-888-WXTK-951. Patricia said, Ed, are we soon going to replace oxygen with tearful, wrenching guilt for history long gone by? People who are horrified by discovering that their long-dead ancestors lived in societies different from today are truly not only like-minded, but light-minded. If they behave this whimpering, childish manner, then my ancestors from the Mongol hordes were alive. Good luck to them. And listener said, Ed, my ancestor, for whom I am named, was kidnapped by Delaware Indians in the 1700s, a frequent occurrence. They were used as slaves. I'm not carrying a grudge against Native Americans. My ancestors were Quakers and Puritans, not a slaveholder among them. People can look at history thought the politically correct lens through the political correct lens of 2015, but every society in history has had slaves captured in war or sold by African chiefs to other tribes or to the Muslim middlemen. Americans need to study history, especially the Amistad case that John Adams was the lawyer for the slaves. It's a good point on that and the fact of what ancestry is out there and what is not out there. One of my nieces, I think, has been spending an awful lot of time on the Lambert genealogy and trying to get exactly how it changed, because our name probably wasn't Lambert back in the 1500s, but whatever the ancestry and what the genealogy is. And I'm looking forward to really taking a hard look at it and reading it and find out and I'd love to find out who my ancestors are that were growing up in the early 1800s or late 1700s also. But I'm not going to feel responsible to find out whatever they were or whatever they did. I'm not going to be shameful. And I know that when Amy called and when Pam called, they said they feel awful and they feel shameful at finding out what their ancestors did or did not do. I just don't get that. And I know a lot of you don't agree with me, but I just don't get that. What my ancestors did, or what Ben Affleck's ancestors did, or what anybody ancestors did, going back 240, 250 years ago, is what they were doing in a different society, a different time. And I just, where do you draw the line? I don't know. 508-775-9985. Our toll-free phone number is 1-888-WXTK-951. I'm Ed Lambert. Quick break. I'll be back. Hang in there.
Many of us respect a higher authority. To a child, it's mom and dad. To soldiers, their commanding officer. For hundreds of millions of citizens, it's simply knowing the difference between right and wrong. The same holds true in a court of law. If you've been injured from medical malpractice or an auto accident, or even due to shot